morning. It's Viewpoint. It's Wednesday morning, isn't it?
All day.
By golly.
Half the day.
Mrs. Busby, the month,
afternoon.
the September song, you know, that's the great song that I enjoy so much for September. And this is the end of September, by golly. Here we are, right? So
when we're back next week, we'll be here in October.
Oh,
already.
that'd be a big month, yeah. Kudo time. Good morning, Mrs. Stoltzenburg. We'll bring you aboard here very quickly here now. Kudo time. Let's bring one in the house first. I understand Mr. Maxwell's daughter, Anna Grace, got another little award from the county board for being a student of the month. And good for you, young lady. Congratulations.
She does very well. I'm sure they're just proud as punch of her.
Well, they should be, by golly. And I noted this morning that they flew the big flag for Webb Donnan as he came underneath the overpass there at Lawndale. That's pretty neat. Webb was a great guy, and of course he's the one that started flying that flag on the overpass every day. And that tradition continues. Thank you very much to those who do that. So I thought that was pretty nice, Judith.
It was nice, and they hung a really big flag.
Yeah, that was a big flag. That's great.
For a moment by it, which I thought was very nice.
Well, you want to tell us about the soiree? You were in attendance there. There was a lot of hard work went into that, and kudos to those folks who put that on.
Amen and amen. It was just very nice. Again, it's fun to get dressed up and go someplace where everything is beautiful.
And you were.
And I were?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get exactly rave reviews at home. Where were you when I needed you? God.
That ain't going to happen.
Not so much. Not so much. But at any rate, the flowers were the arrangements were gorgeous. And the food, Warren Wentland, one day I asked him, because I think it's just standard fare, that every college kid complains about the meals at school. I think it's just kind of expected, you know. And I said, well, surely you never get any complaints about the food here at Lincoln College. Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he said, however, then those who go on to a four-year school will sometimes come back and say, boy, the food over there is sure nothing like it was here.
Grandson Jerry Gossett is an exact example of that. When he was here, he lived on campus at the college, and I wanted him to be a part of the campus, flavor and so forth, so I had him in the dormitories. And so I said, how's the food, Jerry? Well, we went over to Western. And he found out that we had pretty doggone good food here, I'll tell you. And the thing about Warren, just as a quick aside, is that not only is the food great, but he always has decorations of the season in there. And it's always
even
nicely
in there,
done.
And what college university cafeteria do you ever go to where they have things decorated and looking pretty? It just doesn't happen.
Or how may have an omelet bar for the kids. Well, anyway, that's soiree. By the way, I think, Jim, we probably ought to mention that the soiree, the purpose of the soiree, not only to have a nice party, which it is, but the funds are allocated towards the Lincoln College Museum. And they have some really great plans for this museum coming up here, and it's not going to be inexpensive to do it and do it the right way. Lincoln College has an amazing collection of Lincolnia. They have so much that's not even able to be displayed right now, and they have great plans in the new Lincoln Center. They're working on that, and it's going to take a lot of money to do it the right way. But having said that, it'd be pretty silly just to put the stuff out there on the people come and look at it and say, well, isn't that nice? They're going to dioramas, and they have a planning firm that they have been engaged. So that money that has been being raised from time to time at the soirees and other functions is really going to go to a good cause. So think about that. Hospital site. The Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital, that building's gone there on 8th Street now. Well, that was pretty remarkable the way they got that out of here, by the way.
And the parking lot on 8th Street is gone too. It's grass.
Well, at 12:30 today, Dylan Dalpos, representing the hospital, is going to present the deed to that property where the hospital proper set. And the city has long-range plans, and they're going to do this. Again, not knee-jerk reaction. They're going to put some thought in it and get some input from engineers and people who, and then they're going to have some citizens study on that as to how best to utilize that park. So I think perhaps we ought to also mention the Woods Foundation while we're handing out kudos. Bob and Joanne really were foresighted when they set up the Woods Foundation when they left us, and there's a lot of good being done all over the community.
My word.
And the Woods Foundation is on board to help develop that site for the city. So again, kudos to all those people. I noticed that Andy Rooney is going to quit.
Yeah, he's 92. I didn't realize he was 92.
He's got 4 years on me. I didn't know he was that old rascal. Well, we've all watched Andy Rooney at the 60 Minutes, at the conclusion of 60 Minutes, and that's always kind of been the high point of 60 Minutes as far as a lot of us are concerned. And ostensibly, these are remarks attributed to Andy Rooney. And Andy's supposed to have said, "I've learned that the best classroom in the world is at the feet of an elderly person." My grandchildren don't think that.
Well, I don't think mine do either. But you of course remember Dr. Ulrich, Ed Ulrich, of course, and remember him well. He used to get to talking about some of, in his practice, he had quite a few of people like me who were older, and some of them who'd been here for 92 years like Andy Rooney has. He just loved to listen to them and the wisdom that they'd gained. In a perfect world, in another 30 years, maybe I'll gain wisdom. You never know.
Ed did have an abiding interest in older people.
Oh, very
maybe
much.
That's why he was talking to me so much. Well, Andy also said, here's one for you, Angie. "I've learned that when you're in love, it shows." He also said, "I've learned that just one person saying to me, 'You've made my day,' really makes my day."
Yes.
Well, no further ado. I think perhaps we... I did want to think about Ben Stein, the humorist, philosopher. He's really a bright guy, very bright guy.
Yeah, but he's sure Johnny One Note, isn't he?
Oh, boy. Well, he says, "Fathom the hypocrisy of a government that requires every citizen to prove they are insured, but not everyone must prove they are a citizen." Ponder that for a minute. Think about that.
That's pretty profound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, Ben is pretty profound
Yes, he is.
in a very humorous way. Sometimes I just love to get him to hear him do his essays on TV. Why don't you introduce our nice guest?
Well, I'd like to do that because I like
Oh, I've
her.
talked too much this morning, so you go right
Not
ahead.
so much. Angie Stoltzenburg is with us, and she was here about a month ago, I think it was, Angie, and we were talking about various programs. And we, at the very end, said, "And there's Head Start. Thank you for joining us," and we were gone. And so we were hoping that Angie could come back and tell us about this invaluable program. Just lately, I've been hearing on various newscasts about the value of beginning to teach children when they're very, very young, and the difference it makes as they go through school. And Community Action, CIEDC, has traditionally taught many, many children in their Head Start program. Do you have at the tip of your tongue the year that Head Start began here in Lincoln?
Well, Head Start, it's a federal program, of course, and it began during Lyndon B. Johnson's presidency. Lady Bird Johnson really was a big proponent of it, and I believe it was 1964 that, or maybe 65, I could be off a year.
Yeah, but
that
you're real
it started,
close there.
Yeah, it was 64 or 65. It started out as a 1-week-long summer program, and it started, Logan County had it in that year.
In the very beginning.
Yeah. Community Action, at the time, CIEDC, it had 3 counties, I believe. If you look back at the history of the agency, I think, well, I'm just going to guess here, but I think Logan, Mason,
Menard, I bet.
maybe Menard. There were 3 counties that were that started as a community action agency, and the Head Start program was the first program they started with.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the children who start there in the program for Head Start are how old?
Well, we have actually just recently, because of the stimulus dollars, and luckily the funding's continued for that, we've started an early Head Start program. So now we're calling ourselves Head Start, a Birth to 5 program, because we actually serve pregnant women, infants, toddlers, and then 3 to 5-year-olds.
Well, now for the pregnant woman, I suppose it could be things like parenting, because you never get a manual when they give you that new baby. You just kind of have to
Yep, I'm still looking for mine.
hope and pray. I was for a long time. In fact, I still am. It's not that I think of it. But I can see that that a parenting approach would be invaluable. It would have helped me. But now, an infant. What do you do with an infant?
Well, what we're doing is really starting from the very beginning. Like you said, prenatal care is very important. And again, the Head Start program serves low-income families. So we're really making sure that those moms-to-be are taking care of themselves. They have the knowledge they need as to, how they should be eating, how, things they need to be doing to prepare for the baby. And then, of course, once the baby's here, there's a lot of parental support that people need. I mean, that's it can be a very stressful time. And you have postpartum issues there, too, so then it goes, again, back to the mom sometimes. But for the infants, it's all about helping them, making sure the child, that the parent has the support in what kind of nutrition that child needs. Is it meeting its developmental milestones? We help support the parent, make sure that child's immunized. I can't say that word now.
Immunizations.
Thank you. Immunizations, I can say. But we try to, just help support that parent on their journey, especially in the beginning.
Yes.
Jim, it's kind of an interesting thing. I'm sitting here and listening to all this work, this supportive work for these families and so forth. And I go back to the archaic days when they had actually 2 parents in the family.
But that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. I mean, a lot of the parents that we deal with are single moms, and there's a lot of stressors in their lives. If you're in poverty and you've got a baby and you're handling it on your own, a lot of these people don't have. I shouldn't say a lot, but oftentimes people don't have that family support. So if it weren't for programs like Head Start, then, where would you turn to, and would you even know what resources are out there for you? And so we try to help make that connection.
No way to know.
Well,
a lot of people, there's not a big difference about people in poverty. Everybody needs help along the way in their life, and everybody hits some pitfalls sometimes. And the big difference between people who really get themselves in a difficult situation is typically that they just don't have that support system. The same things happen to people in all classes of society, but when you don't have that family support, you don't have that safety net of a family, then it's really hard to get get out of that situation without some support.
That would be such a frightening world. To be by yourself, have a baby, no money.
Well, that's the thing. The whole problem is exasperated.
Exacerbated.
Immunizations, exacerbated.
I'll spell that for you.
I can spell immunization. I just can't say
By the fact, seriously, and it's a real serious comment, is that so many of these youngsters are kids themselves.
Yeah.
And therein lies a huge problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's a very difficult situation to be in. And then even when you've got the family support, it doesn't hurt to have a little extra support when you're in the process of having a baby and raising a child. And that's where all the research is coming out right now, is that at that early childhood development, that is the time where the kids need the nutrition and they need the health, and they need to start that education process. All those little synapses and neurons that are firing and building. If you don't build that through through 5, then it really can have an impact long term. So early childhood childhood is education is very
They say
important.
you should start talking to your baby the moment you get it. And you don't have to say anything very profound. It's just the voice that you use. And you can even say, if you don't start sleeping through the night, I think we're going to sell you. And they'll smile at you.
But you're very right, because it's all about building their vocabulary and stimulating them and getting them to, that's what it's all about. And sometimes it comes more naturally to others. And if you really look into it, there's a lot of research that children who are raised in low-income homes, you think about the environment, they're more stressed out, they're gone more because of, obviously someone's taking care of the baby, but, you don't have that perfect nuclear family going on sometimes, and they don't hear as many words. That's one of the research statistics, is that children who are raised in low-income families don't hear as many words, and so their vocabulary doesn't develop as quickly or as broadly.
And most things develop in their own time. Some kids are walking pretty well by 9 months. Some kids are walking pretty well by 15 months. It just that kind of thing will vary.
Absolutely.
Crawling will vary, words will vary. But my mom always used to say, but to sit up at 6 months is a sign that should be watched for.
Yep, and that's what our family educators do in the Early Head Start program. Our Early Head Start, which again, we're calling it all Head Start now, but the ones that are working with the pregnant moms through the infants and toddlers, they actually do home visits, which is really kind of an exciting thing, because they get to see where the family is at. They really get to know the family well, the environment the child's in, the baby's in, and you were talking about the 6 month mark. They do that same type of thing. They're making sure, is the baby reaching those milestones?
Yes.
Because I go through it. I have a 2-year-old. He just turned 2 last week, and you go to the doctor. Nobody's reminding me to take him to the doctor.
No.
So it'd be very easy. Nobody's checking on me if I'm taking him to the doctor. It'd be very easy to never worry about getting his shots. It'd be very easy to not if I wasn't reading up on it, paying attention to the milestones. Now, that's not my personality, but but of course, that's what the family educators do. They really just make sure that the parent has that support person there to say, is that child sitting up at 6 months? If they aren't, maybe we need to look into that, or making sure you're going to your doctor appointments, and if you're having any other issues within the family, providing that support. That's what Head Start, that's what really makes Head Start what it is. When you're in that program, it's not just education for the child. It's really about support for the family. The family is assigned a family partnership specialist if your child's in our 3 to 5 year old program, or like I said, you have a family educator coming to your home once a week, and you really we help the whole family with any issues they're having, because our goal is for that child to be successful, for that family to be successful. If the parents have goals that they want to work on, maybe they have their associates and they want to finish their bachelor's degree, maybe they want to finish their GED, maybe they have a bachelor's and they haven't been able to find a job. They need to find a job. They didn't know they qualified for food stamps. Whatever the case may be, we help the whole family.
Judith, we have here with us in the studio a responsible mother. The hard facts are that, notwithstanding the younger parents' love for their children, many of them are just simply not equipped to be thinking along the lines that Angie is thinking as being a responsible mother. They just don't know. It's not a criticism.
Because it's not that they're irresponsible, because they love their child as much as anyone does. But you're right. It's whether are they aware of it? Are they surrounded by people who can help them navigate it? A lot of things we know from our peers.
Well, you learn from your mother too.
True.
My mother had things that she'd say to us routinely. And I said those same things to my kids routinely, and they told me that they say those same things to their kids, and they hate it when they hear me coming out of their mouth.
Yes.
But that is where you learn. But if you didn't have an opportunity, for whatever reason, to learn any parenting skills from your mom, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, and not to mention the fact that if you're somebody who's living in poverty, what do you have access to? I mean, again, I've mentioned this a few times, but there's so many more stressors going on. We try to encourage our parents to read to their kids, and we give them, books, and we hook them up with those things. But you just have to understand where they're coming from. That they're in a stressful situation. You have no idea what they're dealing with in the home. The parent, you have no idea what they're dealing with at home, and nobody else is telling them, hey, you should try to read to your child, and do you have time, because you have to drop them off and take them there and go to your second job or whatever the case may be. I mean, it's just it's a challenge.
Oh, to say the least, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Now then, at what point, other than the beginning to read to them, for instance, which would certainly be a learning tool, and I heartily recommend the Sandra Boynton books for little kids. They are so
Snuggle
cute.
Puppy, is that what we're talking about? Sandra Boynton?
Sandra Boynton.
Yes.
Oh, they're so funny. And the old Hop on Pop still is very valid.
Can't go wrong with Dr. Seuss.
That's been around for generations, hasn't it? But other than that, how do you begin teaching them like this is a puzzle? The play school wooden puzzles that you had when you were little? How old are they when you start teaching them to use a puzzle?
Well, we follow...
And not get mad and throw the pieces.
Well, what we do is we follow a curriculum for our family educators for early Head Start. Our pregnant moms, the infants and toddlers. It's called Parents as Teachers, and we're really teaching the parents how to work with their children and meet these different developmental milestones. So we actually have kits for every week of life.
Really?
So if you were to go into one of our family educators' offices, you would see kits for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 of the child's life, and these are all the things that they should be working on. So it might move from balls in different colors, and it's whatever's developmentally appropriate for that child.
And right now, we're going to jump to the sponsors kit for a little commercial break right now.